Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Let me introduce about myself. My name is Muhammad Ridwan Wirasasmita. And today I'm gonna tell you about myself. Well, let's talk about from where I live. Well, I was born, first of all, I was born in Cianjur, 2nd March 2005. And then I lived there for about 5 years. And then after that, I moved to Bandung. So I've been living in Bandung for around 13 years now. It's a place that's very close to my heart, where I've made friends, learned, and grown. Well, let's talk about my education. First of all, my elementary school is called SDN Cinta 5 Bandung. I studied there for 6 years, and then I continued my study to SMPN 5 Bandung. And then after I studied there for 3 years, I continue my study to SMAN Negeri 3 Bandung. There I've met a lot of new friends, a lot of new experiences, learning how to organize, and most importantly, learning about stuff that I really interested in. Okay, and now I'm studying at Polytechnic Negeri Bandung, majoring in Telecommunication Engineering. This is the place where I learned a lot, met some great friends, and had some interesting experiences. Alright, so the reason I choose Telecommunication Engineering as my major is because this field helps people connect with the world. And as technology grows, the bigger the job opportunities become. And then my dream job after graduating from Polytechnic Negeri Bandung is working as a network engineer, because that's what I'm most interested in. I really interested in technology and programming. Alright, outside of college, I have a few hobbies that I'm really passionate about. Well, I've loved listening to wide range of music, wide genres of music. I also love playing guitar since I was in middle school, which helped me relax and helped me express myself in different ways. And now I'm gonna talk about a topic. It is about describing people. Well, now I'm gonna talk about Ki Hajar Dewantara. Maybe you know him as Suwardi Suryadiningrat, or well, actually he's more famous called as Ki Hajar Dewantara. Okay, Ki Hajar Dewantara was born in Yogyakarta, May 2nd on 1889. And his name is Suwardi Suryadiningrat. He is a Japanese nobleman and the grandson of Sri Paku Alam III. Okay. Next, as a Japanese nobleman, Suwardi Suryadiningrat attended Europe's larger school, or you can call it ELS, an elementary school for European student or European children. Well, he continued his studies, and then he finally even can enter to Sofia, or what is often called as Japanese doctor school. However, because of his health condition, he can't continue his study, and Suwardi Suryadiningrat did not graduate from this school. Okay, well, as a figure from the Paku Alam noble family, Suwardi Suryadiningrat has a simple personality and is very close to the people. He blended himself through education and local Japanese culture to achieve a socio-political equality in a colonial era, or in a colonial society. Well, these forces are the basis for Suwardi Suryadiningrat in fighting for unity and equality through cultural nationalism to political nationalism. And then let's talk about his appearance, Ki Hajar Dewantara appearance. Okay, when he was young, he was known for his Japanese attire, which is often included a batik shirt. Which is often including a batik shirt with a headpiece called a blankon, which is a traditional Japanese headdress. And then he has a warm skin undertone, as most Southeast Asian people. And then he has quite big eyes and ears and also a thick eyebrow. Well, as he got older, his wrinkles started to show, but that does not mean bad. That feature just made him more dignified. Alright, Ki Hajar Dewantara, attire and appearance show his love for Japanese culture and tradition. He was a strong advocate for education and the preservation of Indonesian culture, and his appearance was a statement to his commitment to this ideal. His traditional attire, and then his educational background, and then also his love for Indonesian culture. Alright, let's talk the PMI. Let's talk about his PMI plus minus and interesting part about him. Well, the plus side of him is that he was a pioneer in the field of education for Indonesian people during the colonial period, so that the common people at the time had the right and could receive education. And then let's talk about the minus. The minus side of him is that he's a very tradition oriented person, which sometimes can limit his action too. And then let's talk about the interesting part. The interesting part is that maybe you heard the saying in Japanese, which is ing ngarso sung tulodo, ing madya mangun karso, tuturi handayani. Those are the sayings that Ki Hajar Dewantara spread. Maybe you've heard Tuturi Handayani quite a lot because that's like the foundation of our education system. And yes, that is my part of describing people. Thank you. All right, let's continue with another topic. Now I'm gonna describe things, an object. Well, today I'm gonna describe about headphones. All right. So this is a headphone. The brand is Baseus. The model is Baseus Encok DO2. Alright, and now let's see. This is an over-ear. You can call it an over-ear headphone, which means that the headphones cover your ear completely, not pressing against your ear, but it's over your ear. And then let's talk about the buttons. We have three buttons here. That is volume. Both of these buttons are volume, and the middle one is for playing. So you can set your volume straight from the headphones. Right. These headphones also have some padding, so you can wear it for quite a long time and not get exhausted by it. And the fitting is, for my head especially, is quite nice. You can run around with it, you can do activities with it, and it will not fall. Alright, let's talk about the sound. The sound that it has, well, this headphone actually is very bass heavy. So maybe if you like music that lies on low frequencies like bass, as in rap and maybe trap music, you can really use this one and be enjoying the music. But for me, I set this headphone by my smartphone to have an equalized sound where the bass is not too loud but the treble and the mid are quite louder, so you can really hear what's going on the music that you're listening. Oh, there's also a little bit of padding in the head here, which can add some extra comfort. You can also adjust the size of the headphone. You can make it longer, make it shorter, depends on the head size. Alright, and then there's some label saying right and left, And then, yep, I think that's it. Alright, and now we're gonna continue through the next topic, which is about hometown and places I want to visit. Okay, the first one is my hometown. Well, I'm actually a little bit conflicted on which town should I describe. Should it be Cianjur, my birthplace, or should it be a place where I live now, which is in Bandung? But I think I'm gonna describe about Bandung. Okay, Bandung. I live in Bandung now, especially in Kosambi area. Maybe you know Kosambi as the with their traditional market. And yeah, okay, let's talk about general things about Bandung. Well, the geographical feature of Bandung. Okay, so Bandung has three districts, which is Bandung City, Bandung District, and West Bandung District. Okay, and Kosambi, which is where I live, is in Bandung City, the center of Bandung. You can call it like that. Okay, and then the next is the landmarks. One of the most famous landmarks in Bandung is Gedung Sate or Sate Tower. You can translate it like that. Well, Gedung Sate is a public building in Bandung, West Java. It was designed according to a neoclassical design incorporating native Indonesian elements such as Hindu-Buddhist element by Dutch architect J. Gerber to be the seat of Dutch East India Department of State-owned enterprise. Well, the building was completed in around 1924, and today Gedung Sate serves as the seat of the governor of West Java and also a museum. Okay, next, the means of transportation. Well, there are three most, I can say, interesting means of transportation in Bandung. The first transportation is beca. Beca is a traditional transportation which is a little bit like a bicycle. You can call it like a tricycle, where it has three wheels, and then there's the passenger in the front, and then there's the cyclist on the back. And it is quite a tiring job, especially in Bandung, where it's a busy area, right? And then the second mean of transportation, you can use angkot or angkutan kota. It's a vehicle. It's basically a car that you can use to go from one place to another place, to put it simply. And then the third one is delman. Delman is a means of transportation where you use horse as a transportation, right? But now it's rarely seen in, especially in the center of Bandung. You rarely see them, though it's still exists though. Alright, next, one of the famous places in Bandung is definitely Braga Street. Braga Street is almost like a different vibe from Bandung as a whole. It's like their own little city where it's different, the aesthetic, the feel, the weather. No, I mean not the weather. The vibe is totally different. It's like where you're in Holland, right? Where it's very romantic. It is very traditional, right? Very European looking buildings, and then there's also mall right there, and then there's coffee shop, a lot of coffee shop actually, and then there's actually artists making paints, and then there's musician playing in the streets, and yeah, it's quite a vibe. And definitely, if you go to Bandung, you should visit Braga Street. And then let's talk about the people, the food, and the weather. The people in Bandung is definitely quite variative. It is not homogeneous. It's very heterogeneous. Heterogeneous. Well, though most of the people in Bandung are Sundanese, there are also Javanese, and then a lot from outside of Java island too. And then let's talk about the food. Well, the one that I want to talk about is peyem, right? And it's a quite interesting food. Well, you where you fermentize cassava. I think it's a cassava, right? And then you eat it. Well, actually, interestingly enough, it has a little bit of alcohol, but if you eat it just a little bit, you will not get drunk by it. Uh, and tapetu, which is a ferment fermentized fermentized rice. Right. And the weather in Bandung, people always love to come to Bandung for their weather, right? It's one of the uh, most comfortable places in Indonesia because of the weather too. It's not hot at all. It's actually quite a little bit cold sometimes. But recently it's been quite hot because it's in a dry season. And even the saying goes like that Bandung is the most aesthetic when it rains, right? And I think it is quite true. And it's a little bit sad that you can't see Bandung raining recently. And I think that's all for my hometown, describing my hometown. And the next one is talking about the places that I wanted to go and why. Alright, thank you. Alright, and the next topics is gonna be the place that I want to visit. I really want to visit a country that probably everyone knows, right? And it is Japan. Well, my reasoning behind why I want to go to Japan is because I think Japan has the most interesting blend of tradition and modern culture, and also it has a very rich culture that even now people abroad, all across the globe outside of Japan now know a little bit about Japanese culture, right? Because it is such an accessible thing to have. All right. Now in this time, I want to talk about the landmark that they have in Japan. One of it is the famous Mount Fuji. Okay, so the Mount Fuji is an active volcano which is located on the Japanese island of Honshu with a summit elevation of 3,776.24 meter. It is the tallest mountain in Japan, the second highest volcano located on an island in Asia, after Mount Kerinci on the island of Sumatra in Indonesia, right? And it's also the seventh highest peak of an island on Earth, right? Mount Fuji last erupted in 1707 to 1708. The mountain is located about 100 kilometer southwest of Tokyo and visible to Japanese capital on a clear days. Alright, and the means of transportation. The most interesting about Japan is that they have what's called a Shinkansen. What's a Shinkansen? Shinkansen, also known in English as the bullet train. Well, it is a network of high-speed railway lines in Japan. Initially, it was built to connect distant Japanese region within Tokyo, the capital, to aid economic growth and development. Beyond long-distance travel, some sections around the largest metropolitan areas are used as a commuter rail network. It is owned by the Japanese Railway Construction, Transport and Technology Agency and operated by five Japan railway group companies. And the most interesting things about the means of transportation in Japan is that there are not a lot of family or people that actually own a car because they can access every part of Japan using commuter, and mostly they also walk on their day-to-day basis, right? So for that long distance travel, they can use a Shinkansen, and for short distance travel, they usually just go by walking. is a sign of a good means of transportation in a country, in my opinion at least. And then the next thing that I want to talk about is people, food, and weather. Right. So the people in Japan are quite homogeneous, which mean that there's not a lot of variety in their uh, social life, in their day-to-day life. As in, Japanese people are very similar to each other, right? But then again, if you go to the touristy area in Japan, you will definitely see a more variety of people because of how many tourists there are in Japan. But most of the time in the rural area or even outside of the tourist place in Japan, you will rarely meet someone that is that look not that similar to each other, right? And then let's talk about the food. The most one of my favorite foods is coming from Japan, which is ramen and sushi, right? Ramen is basically a noodle with broth in it and a lot of toppings, which can be very delicious, and you can prepare it however you want. And then sushi is a simple dish which is based around rice, raw fish, or even a raw seafood, and you eat it like that. Maybe you add a little bit of wasabi or soy sauce. And then the weather in Japan. Well, in eastern Japan, it's hot and humid summer and cold winter with a very heavy snow on the Sea of Japan side and in mountainous area. Although in western Japan has a very hot and humid summer with temperatures sometimes reaching 35 degrees Celsius and above, and a moderate cold winters. But in Okinawa and Amami, they have a little bit of a subtropical oceanic climate, and that means that every region in Japan has their own unique weather in their own respective ways. And that's all that I want to describe. Thank you.